My name's Jessica. I grew up in northern Vermont. Early childhood, I grew up on a dairy farm. Around the time I was 12, both of my parents got into municipal government work, and that's actually kind of how I ended up in this job. And I'm really happy that I ended up here. My upbringing has definitely shaped my character for sure, and definitely my career as well. I definitely came from humble beginnings, very rural. My family is definitely not the wealthiest, very aware of inequality and adversity and poverty and addiction and the struggles that people face, especially in rural areas. And I think that's really shaped why I ended up in the career I ended up in, because it's for helping people, right? Like, even though a lot of it's the built environment, the built environment really greatly affects people's health and their wealth and their well-being overall. And a lot of people don't necessarily make that connection, but I think that's a big part of what has shaped me in terms of like my character and wanting to be helpful and wanting to be respectful and considerate of others and caring about them and wanting to increase everyone's quality of life.
Anytime you have people on your team that are doing something different and innovative, I think it's worthwhile highlighting that and giving them credit. You know, that's part of being part of a team and showing value to your coworkers. And I immediately thought of Jessica because she'd been doing some new innovative things at the town that hadn't been done before. And planning and architecture and engineering, there can be these hard sciences field, and people don't always think of some of the more social aspects, and she was doing some innovative things to bring that social aspect into our work environment by her starting and helping spearhead the idea committee, which was helping the town also look inward and outward at how we treat each other in our work environment, and then how we interact with the community at large. In the public services realm, certainly in the North Country, we can be very white and very male, and not everyone out in the public is all white and all male, and we need to have diverse perspectives. And so with the idea committee, she was helping kind of show ourselves and the community that we're looking at you, and we want to understand the community that we work in. So I thought it was very valuable to highlight and give her credit for it.
So the IDEA Committee, IDEA, stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Anti-Racism/Anti-Bias. What can we do, even as town government, to make an impact, to make change, to affect people's lives in those ways and try to strive for those, the inclusion, the diversity, the equity? It's really morphed into this all-encompassing exercise of what does that look like to include your employees? What does that look like to be inclusive of your community members? Are our policies written in an equitable fashion? Is there some underlying bias in some of our policies or our practices that we're not maybe aware of? So it's a very reflective process. We've done lots of trainings, we've done surveys. Most people don't think government does this, right? Government just does bare minimum. You just do what's policy, what's law, what's required. So it's definitely a above and beyond effort. And I think a lot of people appreciate that and appreciate that there's now kind of an outlet for those conversations to happen. And a lot of times those conversations aren't necessarily comfortable or easy, but they're important and they need to happen. People aren't always thinking and aware of how does this affect everyone? And that's my job. My job is to make sure that this affects everyone the right way. What we do here affects people that deeply. I think there's a lost perspective about where people come from, where they've been, where they are now, how their lives have changed. Somebody might look at my family now and be like, well, there's nothing wrong with them. Like, they own their home and they have businesses and all this stuff. But maybe 30 years ago, they would have looked at them and been like, they live in a trailer. So for me, that's really important to always bring people back down to earth and what is reality and what is true. And what's true is that your home does not determine who you are. So I think that plays a huge role in how I carry myself in my day-to-day. So for positive change in Plattsburgh or even the region, or even just here locally at the town, the all-encompassing concept is to increase everyone's quality of life, get everyone's needs met. Like, when people's needs are met, they're happier. When you're happier, I mean, happiness is success. Like, if you're happy, what else do you really need, right? You're content, and happiness and contentment comes from getting your needs met. And I think that people look at super myopic pieces, like, when you look at, well, we need to get them housed, we need to get them childcare, we need to get them a job, we need all of it. Anything we can do to help people help themselves or help people find the supports they need for their lives to be better, the better off everyone is. What I'm really proud of, and it might sound cheesy, but I'm really proud to still be here. You know, I recognize that I have privilege. I recognize that my life has not been as hard as others, absolutely. But I've had my own set of adversity. Like, I've had pretty severe mental health struggles in my life. College wasn't necessarily the easiest. You go from a really tiny school to this like big pond and you don't know who you are anymore. Just being able to get through those tough times is an accomplishment. And I think a lot of people discount getting through a tough time as an accomplishment.
She's walking into a room and she has the knowledge. So she can walk into a room full of engineers, architects, surveyors, and brings her perspective into the room. People see these large buildings being built in town, you know, roads, bridges, and she has a hand in those. And I thought it's important to highlight that. I think the town and the community gets a much better product from us because it's a diverse one. In that respect, Jessica really is a true groundbreaker.
I would absolutely define success as contentment. If you're content and you're happy, you have success. Certain things make you happy, and maybe those aren't what someone else makes them happy, that's okay. And money can absolutely make you happy, or whatever these like things in life are, the house, the kid, the cars. But like, you don't have to make that only what makes you successful or happy. Like, happy is like your state of being. Like, is your state of being good? That's success.